Next up is Jessie Little Doe Baird. Jessie has a story about a mid-career pivot that changed her life.
Cha Wanina Khan, Natasuis Jessie Kwanikwais, Tomas Masipiat Ka Wonk Yuyuna Tai Katwat, Ninka Kutamwakyainan Ka Wonk Sonkashkwata Masipi Wataki Mo. Good evening. The language that you just heard is Wampanoag Duang, the language of my people, the Wampanoag people. I am from the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe, and I live in Kituit. And I'm also the vice chairwoman of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about a point in my life's work that stays with me often, and I think it's important to share. So the language that you just heard, Wampanoag Duang, wasn't spoken for 150 years. Now, the language, while it was given to us by Manat, by Creator, the same as our land was, the same as our children are, they're hooked together. We are our language, we are our land, we are our children, and it is all inseparable, but all gifts from Creator. And like any other gift, it has responsibilities too. One of the responsibilities of a speaker, we believe, is that when Creator gives you a language, when you leave your body, when you die and you go home, you are expected to present yourself to your people in that language, in the gift of language that was given by Creator. But we couldn't do that for 150 years. So while the language was encouraged right through the 1800s, the colonists came here on the Mayflower. So when you hear about the Indians and the Pilgrims, we're the Indians, we're that nation that was here then, and we're still here now. And our language was celebrated by the colonists then. Eventually, it was discouraged because I think because the tribe used it in ways that would protect the land under our feet, and that became inconvenient for the colonists. So eventually, the language was not spoken anymore. Then in 1993, I had a vision. I'm not going to talk a lot about a vision tonight, but just safe to say that it's not the same as a dream. You're not asleep, but you're not awake. And in my vision, I was seeing people that I knew. I didn't know them personally, but I could recognize sort of which family or clan they were from. And they were speaking to me, and I didn't know what they were saying. At the time, I worked in human services. I worked with homeless families, and I really enjoyed my work. And I wasn't really sure what was going on. And this vision actually went on for 3 nights in a row. And I just found that it was curious, but I didn't understand what was happening. And then one day I was driving down the road and I saw the sign for a village called Sipawisit, which we now pronounce Sipawisit, the place of the brook. And I'm not really sure why, but in that specific moment in time when my soul made the connection that what I was hearing in my vision could have been Wampanoag, it was like someone lit a fire inside of my soul. I can't explain it more than that there was a pull. There was an inextricable pull to language. And I didn't know anything about language or linguistics. I didn't know about the Wampanoag language. I've seen all of these place names. A lot of places are still named for Wampanoag places. But when you grow up within the forest, you don't always see the trees. Just hadn't thought about it. So I started doing some research and I realized, hey, if this is going to happen, if you're going to work on language, this is going to have to be a community effort, and we're going to need someone to be trained. But before that, we thought, oh, we'll hire a linguist, but we just couldn't afford one. So that vision led me actually to a fellowship at MIT, and then a 3-year master's program in Algonquian linguistics. And the community was working really hard to sort of make plans to reclaim a language. And we were getting a lot of pushback from people. Why would you do this? Are you giving your children a disadvantage? Isn't English good enough? Sort of all of the things, I guess, that my grandparents heard when they were pressured to stop using language, and policies were made when the language ceased to be spoken. However, luckily, they left us hundreds of documents our grandparents did written in our language. So it made reclamation possible. We didn't know at the time that it had never been done before. And had I known that, I may have just been too afraid to do the work, but I didn't know any better. And I found that working on language helped me to feel as though I was fighting oppression, and reclamation was bringing something back. And Wampanoag people, and specifically my tribe, is constantly fighting to keep the land under our feet. And reclamation of language is no less important, because it's no less of a gift from God than the land under our feet. So I went off to school, and because we're a tribe and because we were working on this all together, the idea was to develop lessons that could be learned by anybody in the community each week. So while I was learning something each week, I would develop a lesson that could be taught to a person at home. And we had people from several communities coming. And I would say maybe 6 months or so into the first year, a young woman approached me. And she was from the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. And she said, hey, cuz, we call each other cuz. She was my cousin, so appropriate. I'd like to come to class. But she said, sometimes I had a difficult time in school, and it's left me feeling intimidated. Sometimes when I'm in a classroom setting, I get really scared, and I want to come to language class, and I want to learn my language, and I want to learn to present myself in my own language, but I'm afraid you'll call on me and I won't do well. And I said, hey, come to class, hang out, visit. I won't call on you. You can just chill, have some snacks with the rest of us, and enjoy yourself. And so she started coming. And she was incredible in class. Some of your speakers learn by reading, sort of visually. Some learn tactilely. Some are auditory learners. She was just a natural with language. And she was incredibly beautiful, a young mom, and a championship powwow dancer, and a princess. And her name was Alicia Clayash Johnson. And about, 7 months after she started class, she had been really sick, and just sort of let it go, I think, for a little bit. But she was a lot sicker than any of us thought. And she had cancer. And so she was at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and she asked to see me. And there were other women in the community that wanted to go there and make prayers for her and see her, and other cousins and things. So we went to see Alicia, and she was so small and fragile, laying in her bed. And she said to me, Jessie, I'm going to die. But when I do, and when I go home, and when I go back to where our people came from, I will be able to present myself and say my name in my given language. And she said, I want to thank you for that. And I think this was one of the greatest honors of my life, and of this work, that I was able to accompany this young person on her journey to language reclamation, and to bring language back to the other side, back to our place in creation. And some days this work is really hard, and sometimes it's really lonely, and I'm still learning. I'll learn for the rest of my life. But that one moment helps me to go. And when people ask why, because it's the good and right and clean and holy thing to accompany someone on language reclamation. And I'm really grateful to my cousin, Alicia Clay Ash Johnson, Anach, Kitab Tontomash. Thank you.
Jessie, thank you so much for your story. Thank you for introducing us to Alicia. What a model of generosity to your people and to all people to create this gift or reclaim it. It is a joy, and it is a hard story to hear too, to hear your story and to see the change you've created, not just for your people, for everyone doing the work of dismantling colonialism. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Taptash.